The humble sausage roll is a British institution. Every high street has at least 2 shops selling them, and every supermarket has a large selection. But sadly, not many Brits make their own. The closest they get is warming up a frozen one. And this is such a shame because the sausage roll is really easy to make and it's so tasty. So let's take a look and let's make some of these versatile food icons. First thing we're going to do is make our sausage meat. Before we start that, we've got to put our butter into the freezer because it needs to be frozen as hard as we can get. So minimum of 1 hour, preferably 2 hours. Butter in the freezer. And then the sausage meat is really easy. You just take your sausage meat, you put 1 teaspoon of thyme in, 1 teaspoon of sage, and you take out half an onion and you chop it as finely as you can. We don't want big pieces of onion in our sausage rolls, so we're going to take our time and we're going to make sure that the onion is chopped really finely. When you're chopping your onions, so we don't want any large chunks of onion in the sausage roll. We want it to add flavour rather than texture. We'll just spend a few minutes going over making sure that there are no large pieces going to go into the bowl. All the ingredients for the sausage roll filling goes into a large bowl. So that's 2 pounds of sausage meat, half an onion chopped very finely, some salt and pepper, 1 teaspoon of sage and 1 teaspoon of thyme. You then need to get your hands in and give it all a very good mix. And that's it. That's your sausage meat ready. Next thing, we make the pastry. So you need all-purpose or plain flour, about 400 grams. So I'll get my first piece of butter out of the freezer. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a piece of baking paper or parchment paper, and we're just going to hold the butter with that because we don't want our hands to melt it. And if your butter is frozen really hard, it grates really quickly. If your butter's not frozen, that's when you're going to have problems. So this is what we end up with. We end up with our flour and our grated butter, or half of the grated butter. And we take a fork and we turn that over so that all the butter gets coated. Then we repeat with the rest of the butter. So that's all our butter in. The next thing we do is we add 125 millilitres of very cold water. So I'm going to get some water from the fridge, and then you just mix that together, form it together into a dough, and that's it, it's done. No need to refrigerate it afterwards because we're going to roll this straight out. We're going to put the sausage in, we're going to make some sausage rolls. So to the butter and flour mixture, we want to add 125 millilitres of very cold water, a little bit at a time. See, that's starting to come together. So at this point, I'm going to gently and quickly bring it together. We don't want to melt the butter, that's the thing, so we have to be pretty quick here. Okay, so that's coming together now. Every brand of flour is a little bit different, so this took more than 125 millilitres, took around about 200 actually. So it's when you put your water in the fridge, best just to put a little bit extra in like I did. But this is the type of thing we want to see. So that has come together, and that's it. Don't knead it, don't do anything else to it. That is ready to roll out because that's got all the buttery goodness in there, and that's what we want to keep. So next thing, we're going to flour up this work surface, we're going to roll it out, we're going to cut some squares, we're going to stick some sausage in, and then they're going in the oven. So this is one of the reasons why making sausage rolls or anything at home is better than going out and buying it, because we're now going to assemble the sausage rolls and you can make them any size you want. So you'll see most recipes online or in books and they'll tell you to cut a square or a rectangle of a certain size, but it's up to you. If you want to make little small bite-sized ones, go ahead and make them. If you want to make one giant one, 2 feet long, go ahead and do that. I'm going to make them sort of what I would consider normal size. They're probably going to come out and be 3 or 4 inches long, which is, yeah, I think what I would consider to be a normal size. Maybe 6 inches is what you would get from a high street. But that's the beauty of making your own. If you want them big, make a big one. If you want them small, let's do it. Take your time rolling your pastry out. You want to roll it till it's about the thickness of a 10p piece or the thickness of a quarter, and then you cut it up into squares or rectangles. Take some of your sausage meat, roll that into a sausage shape and roll it up in your pastry. There's no real rule as to how many times you need to roll the pastry around the sausage meat, but I like to get at least 2 layers going around there, otherwise it's more meat than pastry, and that's not the combination I like. When you've rolled all your sausage rolls up, you want to get a sharp knife and then diagonally across the top you want to score the pastry. You don't want to cut it all the way through, you just want to score the top so that it opens up a little bit as it cooks. These are my sausage rolls assembled, ready to go in the oven. Last thing to do is to beat an egg and just brush these over the top. As you can see, I've done a variety of sizes. I've some big ones which I'm going to eat for my lunch. Some smaller ones which are going to go in the freezer, which we can use at a later date. So let's beat the egg, let's brush them and get them in the oven. So these are going to go into the oven for around about 20 to 25 minutes, but do keep an eye on them. All ovens are different and you don't want to burn them. When they're golden brown, they're ready to come out. These took around about 25 to 30 minutes. The larger ones that I made are still in the oven, they've got a couple of minutes left to go. And while I might not win many points from Paul Hollywood on the bake-off for consistency, I think you have to admit they do look pretty tasty. Style and presentation is not my strong point, but I'll tell you one thing, they will taste absolutely fabulous. And put them in the freezer for a rainy day like we've got today. Please go ahead and do that. But yeah, I encourage you to try this. The pastry is really easy, it's super delicious, and these will be a hit with the whole family, I'm sure. So I think that was a pretty successful bake, but the proof of any pudding is in the eating. So I like my sausage rolls with a little bit of brown sauce. See what we've got inside here. That's a good crunch on the pastry. The sausage meat's got some good consistency to it. That's what a real sausage roll looks like inside. Wow. I promise you, this is going to be the best sausage roll you've ever eaten. If I'm wrong, leave me a comment, because I want to know where you've had a better sausage roll than that. Magnificent.